The winner of the 2024 Crabbo Breaking Barriers in Canada Award goes to The Diary of a Niger Immigrant.
Hey darling, are you in for this ride with me? Let's jump in.
Hello everybody, welcome to yet another episode of The Diary of a Niger Immigrant. I am still Onyi Ekenelbi, and today we have a very interesting episode for you. It's always a treat, like we just all the very fancy looking people that you see in Calgary. We try to bring them because sometimes everything looks like it's all roses and lilies and everything, but like when you hear people's story, you're like, wow, I did not know that it took you all of that to get to where you are right now. So that's what we try to do, just so you feel encouraged and you feel like you're not alone and feel like if this person could make it and could be who they are right now, then I can make it, right? So welcome to yet another episode. We have a very interesting topic and an interesting guest, someone that I am so sure you've been wanting to know their story. And she is a multi-talented person. Like every time I see her play the sax, I'm like, how can she play this good? Like, is it even allowed for someone to be able to play the sax this good, sing so good? And like, she doesn't just play the sax, she plays with so much emotions. Like you would literally feel the hair on your body rise. She's an award-winning artist in the city of Calgary and beyond. She is originally Nigerian, of course, and she is also a teacher. She loves to impact knowledge and wisdom in the younger generation, and I am so excited. I feel like you're going to hear more about her from the horse's mouth, but I am so excited to introduce to you guys today, drum rolls please, Perpie.
Thank you so much, Onyi. Thank you. It's such an honor to finally be on this hot seat.
I know. I've been wanting to get Perpie. And guess what? We had just one conversation and we just fixed the date and we're like, yeah, we have to make this work. And I am so excited. And look, we're matchy. We're wearing all black. It wasn't planned. Like, that means the spirit is moving.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I am so honored that you, decided to grace us with, because I know how busy it is and I know how treacherous the weather and the roads are right now, but you took the time out of your busy schedule and you decided to come on the podcast, so thank you.
It's an honor, and when the boss calls, we answer.
Stop.
We have to show up. So yes, it is an honor to be here.
Thank you so much. Can you tell us a little bit about Perpie? Everybody has seen Perpie maybe on their screens, on their social media, on one place or the other. Yeah. Let me tell you one fun fact. There's this guy who is a sax player, and he was going to do a show, so I was supposed to do the video for him. And then he was looking for how to invite Perpie. And I was like, oh, I know Perpie. You can invite her. She'll come. And he was like, I don't know. She's one of the big people in the city. And I was like, no, don't worry. Just send her an invite. But I think at that time you were very busy. So how did you get to, who is Perpie? How did you become who you are today? And walk us through that journey.
That's a long journey.
I
know. But in all humility and with gratitude to God, the origin, the source, the beginning of everything. Perpie is just one very honest, open, and goal-reaching and trusting human being, made by God, made in the image of God. I would say my journey started about when I turned 13. 13 is a very interesting age.
Oh, interesting.
But not my journey in music, but my journey into realization. Yes, a lot of people know me as a saxophonist, as a composer, as a writer, as a singer, as a performer. Some know me as a mom, others know me as a teacher, others know me as the girl who never doesn't want to stop learning. She just wants to keep on learning. Yes, I do have a knack for education, because for me, that was one of the tools that I believe God used to sustain my family at a very difficult time. So from, being raised by a single mom, you probably heard that story. My mom raised all 5 of us with the help of God, bringing community together. And one of the greatest gifts she had was just an NC certificate, teacher certificate, and being able to have that one job. That salaries don't even come often. But at least, when the salary shows up, she will pay all the debts, and buy food stuff. And with that, and she was and she was a serial entrepreneur, making soap, making snack, making drinks, tanking, kerosene, different things, different seasons. My mom was just, and I think that was something that really formed me, seeing how she held on to her drive, her quest for more and more, her community, her children, even through the toughest time, and most of all, her grip on our understanding of the greatness of God, being able to carry her through. And so Perpie is the girl who's coming from that place of scarcity and lack and abundance, because in the midst of all of that, there were blessings as well. There were moments of light, of community, because when my mom could not be home and do a lot of things, neighbors watch out for you, like you're like, your mama don't come, everybody run inside, and she's going out, she's like, Mama Khadija, help me watch them, or they must not do this, know. And in a compound of different tribes, we had Uncle Audu, who is Hausa, we had Khadija, the Muslims, we had Sarah, who are from Rivers State. So it's like a compound of different tribes. Where did you grow? Ejigbo, Lagos.
Oh, that makes sense, yeah.
So it was that beauty. I'm someone I feel like I've been molded through those tough times, through that beauty as well, of community, of people, of love, of friendships, and coming into a place where I realized that there is actually God in all of this, in the midst of the pain, of the lack, and bringing me to a place where I finally had the opportunity to go to school and study music. I was about 20 at that time, because at some point I just thought I would never make it to school because of how tough things were. But eventually there was a door, it opened, I had to study music. I knew nothing about a clef or a staff or a note, whatever. It started then at that small community college, and I started to take that journey, and God started to open doors. My first saxophone was a gift from a classmate, Uche, and that's how, and I had to return it eventually, and then it kept going, and doors started to open. I came to town, to Muson Center. That was another miracle. I didn't have to pay tuition because the body sponsors, and this was a standard education. And I got to go through school for 2 years again to actually study saxophone playing. From that, got a job with that big organization. So it's been a journey for me of grace that opened up in phases as I grew literally, and as I grew in my understanding of life. So so the person standing today is just a product of all of that beauty and harsh realities and lack and abundance. And I'm grateful to finally be here. And who I am today is just a miracle.
A miracle. I had the same word in my mind, like miracle, literally. How did you get to Canada? How did Canada come to play in all of that?
Canada was just my husband. He's like, when Nigerians, like they would say, like, I was talking to your dad today, and it's like, things used to be like, you come to Canada, you go back home because things were working, but at some point you realize that you just want to offer your children better opportunities, exposure, give them a space where they don't have to, almost know somebody to know somebody.
Exactly.
Even though the entire world is almost going that route, at least at the time, that was our drive. And my husband studying oil and gas and working in the banking sector for most of his career. Just wanted, something more. Not me at the time. Even me now, the cold just scares me. But yeah.
Well, the summers are nice. You have your shows and all of that, which is great.
Yeah.
How did you become Perpie in Canada? Like the Perpie on stage, the Perpie that mixes sound. I couldn't even mention all the things that you do. You mix. Like sometimes when I saw you DJing the other day, I was like, sis, what can you not do, right? The other day I saw you mixing sound at church. We go to the same church, so yeah. And how did you become Perpie in the city, like with the whole publicity and all of that in the city?
Another story of divine providence, to be honest, because coming to Canada in 2019, just before COVID, as at 2020, I had just concluded, this was 2 years after we were here, I had concluded that music was over.
Really?
It was like you just wake up and realize like there's no life here. And Calgary at the time, especially if you lived in the Northeast, I think it doesn't even matter where you lived. Like, when you've just arrived, how many people do you know?
Right.
So you just realize, like, there's no room for me here. And I basically saw myself packing my saxophone in the common room we had there and at the condo. And I was like, this is over. And I just, but there's this thing about God's gift that I feel like you can't run away from, even if you feel defeated. There'll be times when you just feel like something is pulling you back and something is saying, I'm here, I'm still here, For the first 2 years, honestly, it was hard. And if you ask a lot of immigrants, some people have it easy. I've seen immigrants who just come here 3 months, they're working, they're doing good, they're just thriving. Oh, I'm so happy for them. I'm jealous for those people.
I know.
But then you have some people, they're like, it's a year, 2 years, they're still, just still managing and pulling things, doing Uber here and there. So my first 3-4 months, I think we got here in February. My first job was with Costco. It was 3 months after. It was the most physically draining, demanding job I'd ever done in my life. And yet I was grateful. Like, I was so happy, you don't want to finish your savings without having something refueling you. But I was also drying up emotionally, spiritually, artistically, in every sense of the word. I was physically, I was, when you come back from work and straight from work, you don't even have time for the kids. You're on the bed. You manage to get up because you realize that these children haven't eaten, and you make something for them. They eat. You go back to sleep until the next morning. You're out again. It's it's that kind of job. I was working at the depot, so it was very physical. It was very, very physical. 8.5 hours. This one is not the type where you have moments to gist and you are constantly moving. All the break you have is to go quickly grab a meal, eat. 15 minutes, maximum 30 minutes break, you eat. You're back in the grind. It's not like you're slowing down. There's no slowing down. Like, if you slow down, they'll say your manager is watching. That kind of work is like, I think in Nigeria maybe that's like a factory kind of work.
Right. Yeah.
It was stressful. My first, and I did that for like 4 months, and my knees were messed up, and I still have knee trauma
to show for
once
it.
in a while.
Yeah.
So it was really, really stressful. And so all that period, I don't even remember ever thinking about music the first 4 months. Some weekends I'll take the saxophone, go into and just try to play it, but then there was just nothing. There was nothing. Like, if something was dying inside of me, just saying. And then God opened the door through church. I remember meeting Amy, and Amy was like, oh, I'm leaving for school in BC. Would you like to... After we got talking, she realized I had worked as a manager at Muson Center in Lagos. And she was like, oh, I'm leaving Steinway, Calgary. Would you like to apply for the role? I'm like, excuse me? Would I like to? since yesterday because this was more office related, admin, and no more,
Yeah.
And that sent in my resume, and the guy went in for the meeting. He didn't even look at the resume. We're just gisting about.
Why am I having chills? My head. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, you worked at FAC?
So I was volunteering.
Okay.
That's even actually when I started volunteering in sound. Paul taught me how to mix.
Really?
Yes.
Paul is my boss.
Yes.
Shout out to Paul.
Yes. So did shotgun volunteering, and so they had dinner theater weekend. At the Harvest Room. It was a dinner theater. We had Italian. I think it was Alfredo. I can't remember. It was really lovely play they did that night, and I was volunteering on sound. And Amy was on the call, like doing the light calls and everything, cues and everything. So we were chatting in between, and I said, I'm leaving. I'm like, oh yeah, and went in for the interview. Kevin Anderson, an amazing human being. We were chatting about Lagos, Nigeria, what's happening, and the next thing he calls me the following week and like, when are you resuming?
Wow.
And that's how I started to, and Steinway Piano Gallery is a music space, even though it doesn't mean I was making music there, but I was coming back into that space, into that environment where I could use my brain, not my body.
Right.
And I could be in an environment and dream, again. And I had the most beautiful experience working there with Kevin and with Amy, because Amy trained me for about a month. It was so good, and I did that for I think about 2 years, a year plus, because I had my baby in between. And from there, little by little, while I had my baby, because I told you I'd given up on music in a lot of ways. So when the good thing here is 1 year maternity, so I was home for 1 year. And one of the days after my son was born, I was just on the piano in the living room, and I remember praying. I was like, because I felt something, it felt like a burden, like, would you just give up on this music? Would you really do it? And I prayed, and I was like, God, would you make room for me here? Would there be room for me? Like, it was almost like I was asking a question because I was not sure. Like, I hadn't seen any room, it's different when you sing and you're like, God, please give me room there, but like, you can't see anything.
No hope.
There's nothing happening. And so I was like, would you give me space here? And I remember how God has always responded when I pray for relevance or pray for space or pray for room. And I was just holding on to him there. And then the first thing that came was, I think I went on Instagram and I saw a residency at BAM Center, and I applied. The next thing was I saw the City of Calgary Mayor's Award, and I applied. I kept applying for things because, trust me, all this while, I was doing nothing. I was seeing nothing as well.
Yeah.
But suddenly I was seeing opportunities.
Right, yeah.
And I started to apply, and doors started to open, and my residency at the BAM Center just gave me grace, space to rebuild. I just felt like God was rebuilding and reopening me up to the arts again. And the award came. That was the first award I won, and so all of the publicity, the CBC interview, the radio, TV, all of that, gigs and festivals started to open. Jazz YYC, Jazz Festival. They started to call and like, oh, we saw you won the award. You're a saxophonist. Oh my goodness, when did you come to the town? When I was like,
I've been here, but you guys
letting God be do.
Imagine if you had given up on it, yeah.
So that's when all of that started to happen. I think it's from that moment God just wanted to show off, and it's like my child is here, So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I had chills all through your story because I can relate on some level with what you went through, like just trying to find space and trying to occupy space, trying to find something to do, trying to make money at the same time. But at the same time, you have this passion that you need to feed, and you need to grow and continue to just do what you love, not just what you want to do to make money, but what you actually love and enjoy doing. And I must commend you. And one thing I also picked is volunteering. That's a big thing. Like, I feel like people don't really understand how volunteering opens doors, like, especially in this part of the world, right?
Yes.
Back home, volunteers, like, I don't know, but like, I've had volunteers that are like, do I have to come at so time? Like, is this like, and I'm like, no, like, just take your time and everything. And they're like, okay, back home it's different.
Yes.
Like, they
Yes.
put you on. I'm like, yeah, here, like, you're respected and
Exactly.
everything for your time and all of that. And at the same time, it opens doors for
Yeah.
that was what gave me my job, literally. I was volunteering as a photographer at the church, and then the role for video
Opened
director
up.
came up.
Yes.
And then they were like, oh, Onyi, she just graduated,
Awesome.
she should do the job. And that was just it. So I can relate on some level with that. Now you are so busy and everything. How is it? Because another reason why I said I couldn't relate is I remember when I had nothing to do and I was like, oh, I need this, I wish I could have this, I wish I could. But then when all the doors open and then you have so much to do and you're like literally this morning I was almost losing my mind because we had like the council meeting with my son's school. I literally had to scramble to make a slot, like a date, pick a date, because they had so many other things that are happening. And you know how it is this time of the year. And then all of a sudden we missed it because we were late. And then I had to go back like later on. And like so many things to be done. But it feels like the family ends up suffering as a result of that because you want to thrive here, you want to thrive there, but at the same time, you need the family to thrive as well.
True.
And sometimes it leads to you like that burnout of what do I give up in order to let this happen? I just wonder, how has it been for you? You have 3 kids, right?
Yeah. Yes.
How has that been?
That's a true struggle, a very honest struggle. You know, I don't know if you saw this post that was making the rounds on social media recently, and it's like, where would parents in their 30s and 40s, where do they hang out? And the response was like, in our cars, driving to school, driving for basketball, driving for music lessons, driving them here, we're driving the kids here, picking up this one, dropping off this one. We're always on the go and on the move. It's a major struggle, and I mean, like you said, I'm very busy. I'm trying to take that word out of my dictionary.
The very busy.
It's fine that people think that let people just know that I'm very busy or think that I'm busy and give me space, but I don't want to be busy. Like, I am learning to identify what matters most. In these days, you know, they say as you grow older, you get wiser. Like, you begin to withdraw. And I think that as I realize the journey, the most important things as we journey, the things we need to shed, the things we need to focus more on, it's a huge, huge, huge struggle. And I can totally understand, as first of all, when they ask us, why are you here? Oh, we're looking for better opportunities, better. And so when you think of better opportunities, or some of the things that you're thinking are good grades for the kids, so they have to be doing Kumon, they have to be doing mathnasium, they have to be doing this course, they have to be doing that course, extracurricular activities, sports, they have to do basketball, they have to do swimming, they have to do gymnastics, they have to do that, music, they have to do piano, they have to do this, and there's so many things, and it's important because we want these children to have a good life, you know. But the trick is, I'm learning, and I say this in total submission to God, who's taken me through a school, I believe I call the school of the Spirit, school of becoming. The devil is a very, very, the evil one, as God puts it, as the Bible puts it, a very, very crazy one. It's a very, very strategic one. And he has structures. And someone was sharing yesterday, like, if we do not have structures, and we're about to mess up big time, and mess up not just us, but the generations of the people God has sent into our lives. So very busy, with music, because I want to, like you said, I want to thrive in the music. I also want to thrive in my family with my kids. I also want to thrive in my job, because I have a 9 to 5. I have a full-time job as well. I also want to thrive in teaching at the studio, the music studio. So there's so many things that pull your attention. But I'm learning that until we sit down and analyze what matters the most. As immigrant parents, I think the pressure is much.
It's
on
heavy.
us. It's heavy. Sometimes, I know when we arrive, one of the questions people are asking from back home, they're like, how are the kids adjusting? And we're always like, oh, the kids are fine. The kids are excited. In fact, they are happy with their school. They're doing good. I'm the one who's struggling. I'm trying to get a job. But the struggle is on both sides.
Yeah. Absolutely, I agree.
The children may not be able to express it. The children may not be able to, because they're excited too. They're in the moment. They're having new friends. But they're not able to tell you what the real struggles are. Same thing for the parents. I did a survey, I think 2 years ago, just checking in with parents. How was it for you when you arrived? How long did it take you to get a job, or at least your first professional job? I don't mean working in Walmart, which is not a problem, but just saying, like, how long did it take you to get into yourself?
Yourself, yeah.
Some of them, like, took me first 3 to 5 years, 5 years and above. Like, how did it feel for you all this time trying to get a job, being rejected? You know, when you apply to like a Walmart and you're actually rejected.
I see.
Do you know that is very...
My husband applied to wash plate at Earl's and he got rejected.
You'll be like...
What is the problem? What's going on?
I don't understand it. I am coming here on a, what's it called?
Master's level.
What do they call it here? Something
professional.
Professional.
Okay, the skilled worker. Yeah.
But then you come here like, okay, let me use the word manage, because that's the feeling. Like, let me even try. Let me even go and do sales role, and you apply and you're not accepted. You know, and so many, especially the men, they share how depressing
Is
that journey was for them. Some men, like, including my husband, they'll be like, "Oh, it was okay. We know that we knew it was going to be not easy." So
yeah.
I say, when you saw the first rejection, be honest.
How did you feel? Did
like,
your heart not sink?
My husband is very proud. You'll be like, proud in a good way, and I love him for that. He'll be like, hey, it's okay. We knew that at the end we'll still get something. There are people who've been here for 2 years, 3 years, and they're still
looking for.
So I find in being, first of all, being very honest about what the struggle is, being honest about what the goal is, and being honest about what those important pieces of your life are. And sometimes we learn from experience, which is sad, which is bad. Like I think I prefer to learn from other people's experience
than mine. Yeah. Why do I have to leave it for another person to learn?
But then they say, if you ask the question, why me, then you're being selfish. You're trying to say, why not only you? Or why not
you?
Else? So
yeah, exactly.
So we own it and trust and thank God for whatever the experiences are. And so, to your question, how do we manage it? I think personally, God opened our eyes to something, and we landed something. We saw something that opened our hearts to really examine what is most important. I don't know if that answers your question.
I feel like you're encoding it. Like something that managed. Is it something that you would be willing to share with us?
Yeah, absolutely. Something I'll be willing to share. But so my kids, and as with a lot of other kids, as I'm finding out, chatting with parents and hearing a lot of things, we live in a very interesting society, which is very different from our experience back home. Back home, I mean, I don't even know when did you see it? Your first phone was when?
Huh.
So I don't.
My first one, that
must
should
have
be
been in university.
after secondary school.
Exactly.
That was when I was waiting for jam.
When was your first computer?
My university, that was like my second year. I still remember that and I remember that computer getting, oh my God, this is a true story. I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you short. But this story, there was so what happened, my dad bought my computer for me. I know how it was tough for my parents to raise money back then. And so they raised money and they got me a computer. And I was so happy I had this computer. And then I lost my aunt, so I had to go to the village for her funeral.
With the computer?
I did not go with it. I left it in my room.
In school?
I was living off campus. That's why I even remember it was my second year. I was living off campus, so I put it in my room. My room was locked, everything. And then I traveled. My dad has never heard the story, so he's hearing it for the first time. And then I went to the village because my school was in the east. So I just went it wasn't too far. I just went to the village. Same Anambra State. Went to the village for my aunt's funeral. And then the next day I got a call that robbers came to the apartment. And my room was one of the rooms they raided, and my laptop was no longer there.
Wow.
It was my aunt's funeral. I was crying. They were like, how are you crying like this? Sorry, yeah. It's your... They did not know that it was my laptop that I was crying for.
Oh.
I was in so much pain. Anyways, I'm sorry to cut you short, but I just felt like I needed to make that confession. Basically, to answer your question, my first laptop was in my second year.
Yeah, so that exposure it came at a point of need for you.
Yeah.
Extreme need. Your project will happen on that laptop.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Your research will happen on that laptop. But here, our kids come here from grade school. They have to have a computer.
Yeah.
Got worse with COVID, where Schoology and kids have to be online even more, And that season, we realized that our children had been exposed to sexual content. What's the word? Unhealthy content online. Unhealthy sexual content online. And it's easy for parents to be like, oh, you should have put parental control. Oh, you were not watching them. Oh, you did not do this or you did not do that. I'll be honest with you. Even if you didn't have the computer at home, you could have seen it on someone else's.
Exactly. Someone else might have a computer.
And one of the beautiful things, because we're taking Alpha course at church at that time, and one of the beautiful things our pastor, one of our leaders shared was like, let's thank God for even letting us find out. Because that is, even though it's not the most comforting thing, but it's a blessing that you found out. Because some parents do not even know. Some parents will boldly tell you face to face and say, my children don't see, they don't even see, they've never seen computer, but they're not aware
of other kids. Because so many kids, my son literally asked me, my son is in grade 2. He was in grade 1 and he said he needed a phone. Another student has a phone and I'm like, yeah.
It was, and from my kids, it was like, oh, my friend was talking about it. My friend was showing me something in school, or my friend was talking about a website in school.
Wow. And what class, what age is this?
This was like grade, was it grade 3?
Wow, that early?
Grade 3, grade
how do
6.
how do the other kids, like that kid that was showing, how did they find
Great question. It's interesting. You never know the root of this thing, but we know the actual root of this thing.
Of course.
The smallest, most important unit that God makes changes through. Because when he would make a change, he said, of the root of Jesse, of the stem of Jesse, from Jesse's family would come a king, would come David, and from David would come Solomon.
Yeah.
And it was also from Solomon's stem that things started to go south, right? God just needs a family to get it right. the devil also just needs a family, so an access to a family to mess things up.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So while I'm grateful, while we're grateful to God that, oh yes, we found out, let's start dealing with this problem. You also, as a parent, you are coming from a place of questioning, like, where was I, or what is this? How bad has this hit? How long has this been for? How terrible is this impact on these children? How long will it impact them? So you're coming from a place of self-questioning, you're blaming yourself and wondering, how did you let these things be? How did we let these things be? How bad is this? How will this impact this child in the future? How will this, and I think we just got to a place where we're like, how do we correct? How do we change? How do we eject darkness? You turn on the light.
Absolutely.
And as parents, we, even when you read the Bible or you're praying, you just feel like the children don't understand. So you're just doing it on your own, managing on your own, keeping your relationship with God on your own. But then I say, if these children have time, it seems like they have a lot of time in their hands. You have enough time to remember the sites that your friend in school showed you or told you, and you had enough time to
research
search
about it. Yes.
You will have enough time for this Bible, as this big book. We shall read it together. That's what led us here. It was that unhealthy exposure to realizing the terrible exposure our children had, and the desire to correct that as much as is possible. That's what led. That's one of the biggest things that made us come to this place. We can't be busy. There's no busyness. The world can think I'm busy right now, but I'm busy. I'm busy repairing,
Yes.
You know how Elijah was like, after they have called Baal, and they had scattered the whole temple, Elijah came and arranged everything again and poured fresh water and called fire. We are rearranging. So it's a journey. It's a very spiritual journey, and it's an understanding that the devil is at work and that God has plans. And the devil only messes up with things that he sees God is building. Where he sees activity, he shows up. The way Scripture says that as all the people were gathering, the devil also showed up.
Yeah, of course.
So wherever he sees activities, he shows up. And so we're busy right now, reclaiming our space. So even as an artist, as a musician, I still center my art because I know that that's a gift God has given me. But God has also given me children it's like he says, take care of these for me. As Jesus said, not one of these that you gave me is lost. All the people you gave me, all the disciples you gave me, I have kept safe. I the same way as he's committed children to us.
Absolutely.
As you're carrying nations. There's no place for, I'm doing well, I'm managing, I'm working so that they'll be okay, they have to be here, they have to be there. We are going to slow it down and retrace our steps and steward this journey together, with God at the center of it. So yeah.
My heart goes out to you, sis. Perpie, my friend. I can't imagine your headspace at that time, when you found out, that's every parent, every mom's worst nightmare, finding out that your child might be exposed to unhealthy sexual content, right? I can't imagine. That's one of the things where I'm like, oh, thank God, at least it's sad that we don't have house help to help us out, but at least I know my child won't be exposed to, because most people growing up, that's their experience. Like, they usually get exposed to things like that from the help at home and things like that. But like, this now happening here, and yeah, there's the up and there's the positive and there's the negative of bringing them here. We want to give them a better life and all of that, but there's also the negative part of the kind of exposure, the kind of things that happen, like the way their minds are being twisted, like trying to make a child convinced that this is who they are, even if that's not who they are, right? And I can't imagine how that has been for you. Can you, like, I don't know, I don't want to put you in that headspace, but can you walk us through your experience and how you were able to handle that situation? Because I'm sure there's so many other people who are walking that journey right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of it, I wouldn't say that at first I was able to handle anything. I know that it took me to tears because first, again, as I mentioned, is that feeling of failure as parents. Like, where was I? I was at work. Like, what was happening? How did this happen? How deep is it? What have they tried, or what has this led to? But one of the things that I did, which is very helpful for me, as I mentioned to you, that I grew up with community in a very, very unique sense, because we were living in when my mom raised us up, what we call face me I face you house. So you're in your only room, you can see the next person's flat room over there, and so all the parents are watching out for you. Like, you can't sneak, you can't hide, you can't. And so my mom could talk to Mama Sarah about, what's happening. You can borrow salt, you can borrow pepper, you can exchange kerosene and all of those things. So it was, and I try to create that atmosphere in my home as well. As an artist, as a musician, as you know, I teach as well. I started with teaching in my house on Fridays, and I would, have all the kids coming and, teach and music, and we'll all gather, we'll play, we'll have fun. Parents are around with gist, and then they go home. And then I started to, speak to one of the parents, like, this is what happened. It was hard, to even expose your children that way, because it feels like your father exposing your children.
Right.
Even here it's like you're exposing your children to,
my son is literally out there now with an iPad, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then talking about it sometimes could feel like, are you doing your children more good by talking about it, or more harm? So it was quite difficult, but I had to, open up to like 2 or 3 friends, women, mothers, around me, who I teach their kids, or who are friends who I could open up to. Like, this is what just happened. And we all shared the shock together. So it wasn't just me at the moment carrying it, or me and my husband, crying at night or being afraid of what. I could talk to someone. And I wasn't sure how the response would be, but some of them were like, if you know what my daughter went through, or if you know what this woman's son went through, and someone, one distant person I didn't even know, was like, if my daughter, my son, this person's son was caught for, I started hearing things in the community.
You were not alone.
From drug to sex to, what's it called? Thefts, to store robbery or whatever, from immigrant young people. I was like, this is real. This is not a joke.
It's not a joke. Yeah.
And some of these parents are professionals, like either medical doctors or own their own businesses, or are retired, or different things. So it's not like, it's because they are very busy, or it's because they're... I started to hear things. And some parents would be like, even on Uber, like I was so open. Like if the Uber driver is a Nigerian, I'm always like open. We just talk, and they're telling me, my two of my daughters, you can't even say anything to them. They don't even listen anymore. They're this one, they're that. This. I'm beginning to hear things in the community. I'm like, wow, this devil is mad.
Crazy.
He's very strategic. What is he trying to do to our children? And the truth is, if we don't talk about it, because it's very, very sensitive matter. You don't want to. I don't want you to see my child and tomorrow and say, like, "Oh, this child has been exposed to sexual content." No. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But I also want us to be aware that this is widespread.
Absolutely.
That even though parents are not talking about it, some parents are not even aware what their children are seeing in school. I mean, my daughter came one day from the park. It was like, oh, this other teenager was showing off his pee hole. Like he opened it up.
What?
At the park, like just walked to the park.
A teenager. I know that the small kids do it. Like,
this is not a small kid. You know, it's a huge thing. So how I've managed, and when my neighbors. And I'm blessed with Nigerian neighbors who understand Nigerian parenting. A parent called me the other day and said, I saw your daughter hugging somebody. I said, thank you for telling me. Did you take a picture? Because I need proof. And it doesn't mean that it is a you don't hug people. Like, I need those eyes.
Right.
I am grateful for those eyes because you can't finish watching your children.
No. There's a saying in like Igbo, they say when a child cries, they say, wow, that's the world. So one person doesn't raise a child. It's like it takes a community and communal effort to raise a good child.
And then you see friends, neighbors, parents coming and just with my kids and like, trying to get them to talk about it, open up, talk about the journey, what's happened. Like, oh, this guy opened up his pee hole at the park. Oh, he just said I should hug him, so I had him. Why? And then it wasn't just me talking to my kid, talking anymore. It was now almost like community gathering. But I think what's most important, the way we decided that we're going to deal with this, and you probably saw the blog post we did at FAC of starting the entire family reading the Bible. We just resolved that if the devil will continue, because he will not stop, to attack the children, attack families, then we have to equip them.
Right.
We have to raise warriors. We have to raise people who know who they are.
Absolutely.
The reason Solomon was successful in the Bible, as we read, is because David equipped him. When you read, even after he had written in Chronicles, and you read how David instructed him, how David was instructing him, do this. This is what God said. Do this. Do not turn from it to the left or to the right. Then you will understand
the direction that he was given.
Why he made so much difference. So even when he had given offerings, and when we were doing our devotion, and my husband was sharing that when he asked God for wisdom, those were not just his words. His father had told him that these people are great. Opening his heart to see what he needs. So it wasn't just Solomon saying, God, give me wisdom. He had realized it from his conversation with his father, what he needed. So he was able to humble himself and say, these people are great for me, and I'm just a child. Give me wisdom. So we at the house, we just realized that we must ground these children in the truth. And it might seem like, oh, how much can the Bible, what can the Bible do, or what does it mean? Does it change? Oh, it changes a lot.
Oh, a lot. Because you're speaking truth, you're speaking light, you're speaking positivity, you're speaking,
as in,
you're sowing a seed.
You're literally breaking the foundation, demolishing whatever silly, stupid, dark foundation has been laid. You're laying
a fresh
the
one.
true foundation for them. And that's what we started. And we know that it's not a thing. You can't tell a child, read your Bible. You must read your Bible today. You must read your Bible tomorrow. Okay, read it now. Have you read it? No. Like, we had to put structures
together
around it. And we had to do it together as a family. My husband had finished reading his old Bible from the... If I tell you I just finished and he was starting again, I said, we're all going to start it again.
Every time you read it, like, it reveals something new. That's the thing. That's what, like, we were talking about it in one WhatsApp group. And someone was like, they had read. And I was like, every time you read it, you might read it now, and this is what the Holy Spirit reveals to you. And then you might read it again, and then it reveals something different, something fresh, like a fresh perspective.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's too much to read and read read again. And it just makes you even more equipped in the Word, because it's like the whole armor that you're putting on in order for you to wedge against
dark forces,
darkness and
so even when you say, because your children still have to do basketball because they love to play basketball, you still want them to go for their music lessons, you still want them to maybe do their math and do all of those things, and so your schedule can be a mess. Your schedule can be a mess, but you have to decide, maybe this 1 year we shall do Bible in a year, and we are not doing nothing else.
So is that what you're doing? You actually stopped all the activities?
No, funny enough, we didn't. We had to find a way. Thankfully, we started in the summer. Just before the summer, so we had time at home. So the first 2 months, we were already having fun. It was like, the Bible is fun.
Yeah.
I know people don't, some people like, reading Leviticus.
Are you reading
from Genesis?
Really?
And we're using a Bible plan. So, and the Bible plan combines it. So you're reading, each day you're reading Old Testament, and you're also reading New Testament. So you're reading Genesis and Matthew, and then Leviticus and then you're coming all that way. Because that's the only way you understand what's happening.
Yeah.
You need, if the first time you're reading the Bible, I don't know that I would enjoy just reading Matthew. I just want to understand what's happening. And that's how the journey started for me and my family in reading the Bible. And throughout summer, we had so much fun reading. And what's the outcome? The kids are hearing about something greater than them. Something bigger than any one of us.
Absolutely.
And they're aligning themselves, because they say the more you behold, you become. And because we know that these attacks will come. It doesn't mean it won't come next time. It doesn't mean that they are free. They will not be exposed to things again. But then
they
are
have
equipped.
the armor, to the weapon.
They're equipped, fully equipped. And that's, and not just reading to have fun, but
to
understanding
digest
what God is saying per time.
Absolutely.
And how we align, how we are part of that story, how we are part of God's story. It's a whole lot to unpack, honestly. But what I can say is, if there's one thing, especially for the Christian families, I shared a clip the other day saying that they say, let children grow with free mind. When they are grown, they will find their way. They will understand. Every child will still find his way. It's a lie.
It's not true.
The guy was like, indoctrinate you. If you believe in God, you know the God you serve. You know that this is a good God. As God, like I used to ask someone, has God ever asked you to go and kill somebody? Has God ever asked you to disrespect people? The relationship with God is one that teaches you purity, teaches you honor, teaches you respect, teaches you to do your job exceptionally. So there is so much light with God. So how can you infuse so much light in a child and still expect to see darkness?
Absolutely.
So as much as they would do the basketball, so we didn't stop them from doing basketball. We didn't stop them from we just slowed down.
Right.
God in his own power is even stopping things by himself. Like he knows. Like my daughter, for instance, my daughter tried out for basketball this third time and didn't get in. After she had made it first time, second time, made it through the team and all, And this third time she did try out, and we were so excited that she would make it, and then she was not in the team.
Wow.
Time back. Let's read the Bible more. So it's a journey, and I'm not saying that God doesn't want my child to do basketball, but I am grateful for those shoveling, like chiseling things away so that we can focus on what matters.
You put things in perspective.
I don't know how these children will turn out, but I know that with the light of God entering into them, even if they miss their way, He will pull them back.
Absolutely.
Because there's no way you sow into something and it's empty. It's not a basket. The word of God is powerful, and people say, "Oh, they are young; they won't understand what they are reading." Yet, it will shock you what they are grasping, what they are understanding. And even though you may not see the fruit of it, doesn't mean they still don't argue or still frown when you tell them to do their chores. They are still kids, but you're giving them and you're pouring into them from a higher measure. And as immigrants, we can deceive ourselves all we want and be like, "Oh, it's life. It's the way it is." Some people will say, "Oh, even in Nigeria, children are exposed to sexual content," or even in Nigeria, young kids do bad stuff. It's all over the world. I agree. But we are here. The pressure is more. There's so much pressure. Your child is going to deal with peer. In back home, what is peer pressure? Like, so the worst case scenario is bullies, but who is pressuring you to wear crop top and not, and the pressure is real here. The exposure to the internet is real. Is a lot more. Like, where is the internet? Wait, by the time your broadband has finished, you finished the Wi-Fi in a day. Where is the internet? And you shut it down.
You don't have data.
Data, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's so much access. There's so much access.
And everywhere has Wi-Fi here.
There's so much access.
Yeah.
And if we feel like, oh, my kids are now teenagers, they're now old, it's too late for them to teach them the word of God. Or say, oh, they're too young, I'll wait for them to expose them to God in a lot of ways. Because at the end of the day, why are we here? Maybe we say we want to give these children better opportunities. Do you think better opportunities is just letting them fly solo and become anything? No. There's a place, there's a role we have to play. So even as an artist, and I'm, modeling, I'm on stage for the most part, I'm writing, I'm traveling, I'm doing things, I don't want to turn back and see that my kids are left behind. I don't want to turn back, because the truth is, you can choose to keep your fame growing, keep the art growing, tour the world, travel, do whatever you want to do, and then your children, and even you might think you're thriving. Even God is not happy with you. God said to the priest, what's his name? The one, I think it was Eli. Said to Eli, you tolerate sin from his children.
Because Eli was the priest with kids that were lawless and would take the sacrifice from the altar and things like that. Yeah.
So he wasn't doing something bad in his own eyes, but to God, that was unrighteousness.
Yes. I remember my mom telling me that a lot. And honestly, like everything you said, there's so much truth. Because I remember back then when my mom would talk to me and tell me, and she'll be like, you might not see the value now. It's when you get older that you would see it. And I feel that in my bones. Even mourning her sometimes, that's what I remember. And my heart breaks all over again, because she poured so much life, so much of the word in me, and like now I see the value. But back then I did not. I didn't understand it. Even when she wasn't there and I lost my way because she wasn't there, like because I lost her, I was like, no, there's no way here. I found my way back because of that seed that she had poured in me for a long time. And I was like, I don't think she'll be pleased that I lost my way, because she was like, she lost her life and everything. So I had to find and walk my way back because of that seed and that impact. So like I can totally attest that everything you're doing, it might look like it's not working right now, but trust me, you're sowing so much seed, you're pouring so much life in them, and they might not see it now. The world might not see it now, but the future, they would be so thankful that you've given them so much that they can thrive in life. There's no place they can go to and they cannot feel like they have something backing them, and they feel like they can thrive, they can make it. Because I have the word, I have this with me, I have so much life in me. My mom has prayed for me and poured so much life in me. Like, this is what the word says when I go through this situation. And I know that if I walk through fire, it won't harm me because I have. So, like, they have that. And, like, I must commend you for seeing that and wanting to tap into that and, like, make sure you do your own bit and your own best. Because even my mom used to say, like, if I on the last day, the first thing God would ask me is, okay, I did this with this person, I did that with that, I was able to minister in church, I did this, but then the one in my home, I wasn't able to. You're the most important person that I have to pour in. So I see that. Absolutely. I feel that I can attest to that as a living proof as well. I want to ask, for people, like parents who are still walking this journey and are oblivious of what the kids are going through, from your experience, I know you said you don't like it when you're the one who people have to learn from and why you and all of that. But, like, I know that you're also a teacher and you're someone who also wants to, and that's why you agreed to come here to talk about this sensitive topic. And thank you for sharing. Like, I don't take it for granted, and I hope the audience doesn't also take this for granted. How do you think other parents can start to find, because sometimes you're like, I don't want to ask the question, what if they're not even exposed to this, and then I start to trigger that curiosity in their mind. How do we find out, how do we get into the root of this in order for you to be able to find this out on time?
Honestly, I don't know that I have the answer to that question. My honest advice is, God is merciful. And I don't say this to be overly spiritual, because I am still learning. It's like you feel like you know God, but like you know nothing. It's like you have not even started.
Not scratched the surface.
But He's so good. He's so merciful. It's like there are things that just happen. You'd be like, I would never have known this thing. I would never in my lifetime have known this thing. You know, and one of the things that I probably mentioned is we have handed my daughter a phone. I think she turned, I can't remember the age, she turned maybe 11 or so when we handed her a phone.
How old is your daughter right now?
She's 14.
Okay.
So we handed her a phone, like, oh, she's, what you would not do back home in Nigeria. But you're like, here.
All her friends probably had a phone a long time ago.
Okay, so we did. And all of a sudden, sometimes the phone will not ring, we will not hear, but we'll just be hearing somebody whispering. Did it ring? It rang. So you now put your phone on silence. Yeah, like you are in the office, you have a meeting. Why is your phone on silence?
You are in the studio recording.
You are in the studio recording. And you are 11. Why do they put it on silence? So that you don't hear when the call's coming.
Right.
And so we started by, okay, let the phone only sleep in the living room overnight. You start to put some boundaries when you notice that she's always on the phone. You see text message, I miss you. I miss who? At what
Who
age?
is missing you?
Who is missing? To be honest.
And why are they missing you?
So we also, and I know some parents will be like, oh, it's okay, the children need phone. Like, if you have to pick them up from school, you don't know where they are, or they have to take the bus, they don't know how to get there, they need to use the map. There are other ways. The phone is one of the biggest challenges. And it could also be your access to finding out things. Even their computers. Some kids are very smart. They will delete everything. You will find no trace of it. And so don't go searching, letting them know you're about to search. Search like you're just checking work. You will see things. The Lord will just be sending you to where to go to history. You just be seeing things. You're seeing emails, you'll be seeing chats, you'll be seeing apps that it's not part of school apps, So I would say your curiosity matters. It's very, because this is your child we're talking about. This is not, even if it's not your child, this is a child in your care. And so you just have to treat that with every urgency, every sense of urgency. Do your research, find out, see if there are anything. So before you say a word to them, there is something coming. And if you don't see anything, honestly, I wouldn't advise to even bring it up, except you're teaching them generally on safety, internet safety, or, social media safety, the trouble of risks, pothole and pitholes, and all of those things. Your curiosity will help, search things. Don't just say, oh, I trust them. You're not checking their emails. You're not checking their text. You're not checking their deleted folder, like trash folder in their inboxes. Check things. Don't say, oh, my children are good children. They are trustworthy. You have no idea what seeds are being sown into them. It's not like your child wakes up and says, I want to go and search up sexual content. No, somebody says it to them, or someone even shows it to them.
Exactly.
In your absence. So we're teaching our children today to be able to say no, but it doesn't mean that their eyes don't see the first thing. Even though they walk out and say, don't show me that next time, it leaves something in them. Our minds are very, when God says, love the Lord with all your heart, with your soul, and with all your strength, He's asking you to use your entire being. Because when the devil comes, it goes straight to that mind that affects your entire being as well. So it's very important that we're not, I don't like this denial. I think it's a denial thing, like, oh, everything is fine, especially within us immigrants. Until we're here, we're all immigrants. And yes, we're settlers and we're happy for the opportunities we're getting, but we must never neglect the work. We're building generations, we're building futures. These children are not just children and okay, they will work at a bank tomorrow. No. They will raise children. When the scripture says, I can't remember where, there was a story about when you get into this land, when he was bringing them from Egypt, where he said, when you finally take over this land, have these wells you didn't dig, these houses you did not build, when you finally take over and you eat and you're satisfied, do not forget the Lord your God. Like, write his word, write this word upon your heart, impress it upon the heart of your children. It's important. So, knowing that you're impressing, even the devil himself is trying to impress things upon their hearts. There's a reason. That's why in New Testament he says things like, I myself, I will write my law upon your heart, because I know how it is easy to forget. So even our children, when they get into opposition, they can almost easily forget what they've read. They can almost easily forget all of those things. But when the Lord himself impresses or writes his law upon their hearts, they can fight things. So our role as parents, and I say this to a lot of immigrant parents, be open. There's no rigidity. And then I see some parents, they'll be like, oh, that's the way she behaves. Or, oh, she's very, my child, oh, that's the way he is. He's very quiet. Don't say he's quiet. Figure it out.
Right.
And where you cannot figure it out, ask the Holy Spirit for help. Like, what's happening with this child? Find out, and he will show you things. It will shock you. You'll be finding things out that you would never have known. Because God is interested in his children. God knows what he's trying to build, and the devil knows what he's trying to destroy. So we must be very conscious and search things. Ask them questions when you feel comfortable, but create space also for this conversation. I'm very different in the sense that I was raised by a teacher who doesn't have time for gentle parenting. What they call gentle parenting. It comes with knock on your head. That's how my mom raised me. I'm trying these days to be more gentle in my parenting, but I may have landed that knock first before we start to talk about things. But I encourage parents who are trying gentle parenting to gently bring the conversation up. But me, as I'm talking, sometimes the cane is in my right hand. So as well. And I know that we're in Canada where we have to adjust to the way we parent, but you cannot lie to yourself. That there's still something in you that cannot be gentle with this parenting thing. And I'm being serious, because you can't change overnight and say, oh, she's going to have this child will have a phone, this child is going to have a computer, and I'm going to trust this child. she's very, very she's very, very responsible, will not do anything ill, and you don't bring yourself to go and search at night when they are sleeping. I don't understand that parenting, because that is how we knock in these days. That's how we have cane in our hand, and I can wake my child up at 2 a.m. and say, explain this email, explain this text message, who are you missing? Please, like, what's happening here, because we cannot say, oh, things are different here in Canada. Children have boyfriends at 14, 15.
I don't understand.
Children actually have sex at 14, 15, if not even 13. Do you want that for your child? Do you even think your child in their right mind, in their right senses, want that for themselves? No, it's only when they are twisted. Only when that child's mind is twisted. And I know we live in Canada where things are different, but we need to understand what our role as parents are. If my mother did not give me freedom to do certain things at a certain age, I'm sorry, it would be very hard for me to allow my child to do that. Because God does not make mistakes. That I'm in Canada.
See, lion does not born goats.
Not possible. Not possible. So there is that rigidness that you must not lose. And I'm not saying do not embrace the Western culture. Yes, we're here now. We have to adjust, but certain things cannot be adjusted. Certain things, instilling the right principles in your child and following it up. So don't say we have said it, they've heard me, we've spoken about it, that's it. Until follow up. That's why there's exam in school. You don't just teach and leave it, you follow up. You check to make sure they are doing these things, because children, they forget now by seconds. Like, like when something is entering and they come. I don't know why I'm speaking pidgin English today.
Don't worry, the Niger audience will understand. And if you don't understand, just leave a comment and I will send you the meaning of the.
Yeah. So, and I know that probably audiences want to hear more about my artistic journey, but as an artist, I'm also a mom, and this really, really put a stop to me for a lot of reasons. In fact, when I was doing EJ Live finale last year, it was like, I'm going to settle down and focus on my family for a bit. I'm going to take steps back and understand where I'm missing it and repair this bridge as much as possible with the help of God. So yeah, it's our role as parents to be vigilant. You're like vigilant is in your home. You're the one awake at night. You're the one praying. You're the one waking up. You're the one checking. You're the one asking the questions. You're the one with the cane on your right hand. You're the one cutting eye for your children to understand your sign language, because there's no time. Yeah. There's no time.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter the age of the child. If the child is 2, if the child is 4, let's read this Bible together. There's Action Bible. You read the Bible. If you feel like, Bible is not the only solution, pray. If you feel like prayer is not the only solution, have conversations. Attend healthy events. Expose them to. Check the films they will watch. Regulate TV time. Do not give this child a phone, honestly speaking, unless you just feel like you want to give the phone. Because you can't tell me there's no way out. There's no other way out. Yesterday I heard that Australia has banned, is it phones or social media for ages 16 and down.
Really?
Yeah.
I've not heard that.
I just heard that yesterday.
The
in
one
the news.
that I'm very happy about is that they banned phones from CBE schools.
Yes.
Because of the survey. Like, I remember that time, I even told my dad, please, can you help me? Because I wanted more people
to sign that.
Fill
the survey.
Yeah, so which was really good and made me so happy.
It's a big deal.
I wanted to ask you one last question before we go. I know our time is fast spent. But you speak so highly of your community and how you were able to build that. For people who are struggling to build that community, how do you think we can build a strong, healthy community that not just people around you, but people that actually care enough to pick up their phone and tell you, I saw your daughter hugging somebody, or I saw this happening. Like, how are you able to build people that you can trust and that will hold you up, but will not still use that thing that you have told them or that
against you?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a very tricky place. That's a lot. It's almost like, they say buying house in Canada. You can't have everything you want.
You have to give up on something.
You can have garage. You may not be able to have patio. You may have deck. You may not have a big living room. Your kitchen, those kind of things. And so you might not be able to keep your friends or this community from talking or sharing your secrets. I'll be honest with you. You may not be, because you can't. Because if I tell my friend would tell her husband. Her husband may just be gisting with another very close friend and say, have you heard? And I'm okay with that in a way, in a sense. Even though there are some sensitive things you don't just spill out anyhow.
Exactly, yeah.
But I'm actually okay. I'm coming to understand that, because when you say this is a secret, when you are not my counselor, that you've signed an oath of confidentiality, like I have to talk to my husband to be healthy, to
because he's your friend.
Hey, I have to share it. I don't. Please, I'm opening up now to anybody that thinks they're telling me secrets. If you tell me secrets,
the secret is from
I will talk to my husband
and your spouse.
I'm sure that my husband will not tell anybody else, but I feel like I think it's healthy too. It depends on certain conversations, But I feel really blessed. I think music drew this community to me in the first place, especially when you're working in Australia. They meet your kids and oh, what do you do? And then the kids, they come to the house, oh, you have a piano. Oh, my kids would like to learn the piano. And then you start to teach them. This is how I feel like God has drawn this community to me. But I would say the extra step forward is being open to these people. Not being afraid, as I say, don't be afraid that they will tell people. So if you feel like there's something you want to share, you don't want people to know, then don't share it. Because I don't know that people actually keep secrets in a way.
Just the same way they use some people to tell you, oh, my neighbor too, oh, this person
exactly.
too. There'll always be a way they'll use you as a case study.
Because I don't expect that those should be secrets. I don't expect that my story that I've shared today about my children's exposure should be a secret, because how else will people learn? So I feel like sometimes we're asking too much from people. Don't tell. Like if they don't tell, then some parents don't know what's happening with their kids.
Yeah.
And that's what I say, and I when I open up to people, I'm like, sometimes I'll be like, I don't want this to go out yet. I'm just sharing it with you. Yes, maybe because I'm not ready for it. But at the end of the day, when we go through trials, when we are shaking to our foundation, because I tell you, that thing shook me to my bones, to my core.
Who won't it shake?
So when something shakes you, you don't want that to shake another family, take them by surprise. Or maybe they find out 5 years after their children have been doing this.
Right.
You want them to shake it up right now. Shake up that foundation right now. Let's fix things together.
Yes.
Let's fix this thing. I'm not happy that a community member son robs or goes to steal from a store, or a community member's daughter have sex at 14 or 13 at a mall, or you don't want to be hearing these things. But if we keep keeping quiet,
nothing is going to be fixed.
Nothing gets fixed. Our children. So when people come, like if that one calls me and says, I saw your child, like one of them said, if thankfully, like a Nigerian French teacher in my children's school, and she saw me, she was like, I told your daughter to sit here, and she was frowning at me. Right there and then, we settled the matter. Because I'm like, Auntie, you will write a letter. You will apologize. This Nigerian teacher redirecting your seat could already tell that you are being distracted. Exactly. So she's trying to order you. And it's only a Nigerian teacher, because most other teachers, I'll be honest with you, will say, oh, she's doing good. Oh, your daughter is doing, your son is doing good.
They won't complain about that frowning.
Nobody complains about that behavior. But a Nigerian teacher looks me in the face at the mall and says to me, your daughter was frowning at me because I told her to change her seat. There's more in that sentence. There's so much in that sentence. She was
being rude. That's what she's trying to say.
Yes. Yeah. Either my daughter was being rude, or is being distracted, or it's what she's her circle, or whatever she's doing is not going to help her journey.
Absolutely.
And so I'm saying to my child, only a Nigerian parent, this is who we are. as Nigerians. This is truly our nature. This is how I grew up. And that's why my mom knows that she can be in the markets and our children cannot be messing up. Because the women, their eyes are like foxes around the house.
They're seeing everything.
They are watching. And also
they are recording
the
it.
same thing when they are not around, they know that her child or her son cannot be doing rubbish because my mom is around. My mom used to hold cane for people's children. You'll be like, is this your child? And so that is the attitude I came to Canada with. And I didn't even realize this until things started to open up. So if a parent tells me about my child in French class, or a parent says, I saw your daughter or your son hugging somebody, being too close to someone for comfort, if I do not appreciate that move, if I respond coldly to that, if I do not respond with, gratitude, welcoming that, they won't tell me tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And then my kids can be as lost as whatever. I want to be sound, because you can't raise these children on your own. No. That's why God gives you people. And yes, Canada is cold. We're all locked up in a house. We're not living in face me, I face you. But you have to consciously build that community. You have to consciously feed that community. That's why the woman, we use her phone, send me text message, long text message, still call me and say, I saw. that warmed my heart. As I was angry with my child, I was happy with another woman. So how do you build that community? You encourage that. You stay open and share with people. Share your challenges, the ones you're comfortable to share, and don't hold back, because you don't want someone else to go through that struggle. And in some cases, you don't even know that if they are going through that struggle and struggling to share. And so the moment you share, you've given them space to feel safe to share with you their challenges.
Absolutely.
And you both can now strengthen each other, because this is a journey. As Jesus said to Peter, the devil has desired to sift you, but I have prayed for you. When you recover, strengthen your brother. That's our role here. We're not here to be okay. Me and my family, we're good. My children are healthy. They're not exposed to any. We're doing okay. It's a community thing. Once you're strong, you strengthen the other. Once you have finished crying for what you found out for your child, you share. Someone else is able to open up. You strengthen them. They become stronger. We grow as a community. Because we're all visitors here. Well, I don't know. Maybe we will live here forever. Maybe this is not, Absolutely. So we have to carry one another with so much honesty, respect, openness, and carry ourselves in faith as God wants us to.
Thank you so much, Perpie. Thank you for sharing and being so vulnerable and just opening up. I'm sure so many people don't know this side, this vulnerable side. We only see the roses and everything and the bows, and we see how beautiful, how talented you are in and out, but we've not seen this part. So I appreciate you coming on the diary and just being so vulnerable and opening up and sharing, and hopefully we get to strengthen more people and also open up spaces for people to have those honest conversations, and hopefully we can grow and heal together, right?
Absolutely.
Now let's do something fun. I'm going to ask you some questions. What is one thing that you wish you knew before buying that one-way ticket?
Let's
not leave on a heavy note.
Oh my goodness. What is the one thing I wish I knew? I wish I knew how far it really meant it was going to be. Far away it was going to be. I would have spent time. I would have just traveled the whole of Nigeria first, the whole of Africa. I would have visited the whole of Africa and just, dig myself into my roots properly, even more than before coming. That's what, if I knew how, I know it's far, they say Canada is far, but if I knew how far, and I mean far by literal sense and attachment, how far it takes you away from home. My gosh, I would have soaked myself in home.
It's not late. When the kids grow, you can travel to
I
wherever you
know.
want to. I
I
know
know.
that restriction of, I have young kids. I can't really pack my bags.
Right.
Or maybe we should plan a girls getaway.
I think we
one
need
day.
that. I think we need that.
I think we need that. I think we need to plan a girls trip so that we can,
That is much needed.
for us moms.
Yeah.
Moms getaway. That would be nice. Maybe this year, 2025.
Okay, yes.
Maybe 2025 we would, or 2026. We shall start planning it. We'll start saving. I feel like if we do it the same year, it might be too abrupt and it might not be.
Yeah.
And
You
some
need
of us
time.
need to
You
get
need
Bali
time.
first
Yeah.
of all.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So maybe 2026.
Yes.
That will be the plan. Okay. And one other question, not the last question, but quick questions. Jollof rice or fried rice?
Jollof, please.
Jollof or amala?
Ah,
With the whole
it's
abula.
not the same
It's not the
category
same.
now. But I will go with. That's hard, Sha.
You have to choose one. You can't have all of them.
Amala.
Amala.
With a lot of protein.
With
With
a
a lot of
lot of
animal.
obstacles.
Obstacles. That will make it fun.
Okay, what's your favorite weather? Would you choose winter
Hey.
or fall?
Did we have fall this year?
We did for a bit. It was beautiful that time, but it was short.
Sorry,
So
this
now
is
we'll
not- since
forgot
you're
it.
posting next year.
Oh yeah.
Because, honestly, I don't know the difference between winter and fall.
Right.
in this
yeah.
Canada.
It's just that first period when everything is golden.
For 1 week, 2 weeks.
For 1 week, 2 weeks. At that time, I was
just-
like, I wish I put a drone just to take a video of everything.
This weather.
The
I would
weather
choose the
is-
fall.
The fall.
I wish I could extend that fall.
Fall or spring?
Spring, yes. I love spring.
Yeah.
I know it rains, but then it also, the snow is clearing. The greens are showing up little by little.
But then sometimes Calgary, the snow will
I
just
know.
fall
Not this
in the middle of
Calgary.
the spring. Spring or summer?
The summer they hot, Sha. Summer is so hot. But
You can't have it all.
I know. But you can drive anywhere. You can go to Banff. You can,
Right, yeah.
Summer.
Summer baby. Me, I'm a spring baby.
I
So,
know.
Yeah, I
I
love
love
the
it.
spring.
Yeah.
The reason why I love the spring is just that birth of new life.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like everywhere was gray, everywhere was dry, and then all of a sudden you start to see flowers blossom, you see things spring
is
up.
just, yeah.
It's just a reminder of the creator, like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
this is like
So
how
different. Like,
exactly, like the
Change of
colors just
scene.
start to bloom. That's why I love the spring. The spring
Yeah.
is my favorite, and I was also, my birthday falls in the spring.
Oh.
I mean, maybe
I'm not following this weather for my birthday.
When
because
is your birthday?
February 1st. So
Oh my
I'm not
gosh.
even going to
My
follow
husband
this.
is February 21st.
I'm
and
not
I'm
following
like,
this weather. I'm not following
anyways,
this weather.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you so much, Perpie, for being here and for being so vulnerable and sharing. Is there any last thing you want to, like a message you want to send out to your fans or people that are rooting for Perpie?
First of all, I would say thank you to you for giving me the space to share. Sometimes I get tired of questions like, how long have you been playing? When did you play last? When was the first time you played saxophone? Because I've answered that question a lot of times. So being able to talk about a real life situation, a real life matter, and an urgent matter that I feel like, it's urgent because as I speak to more people, then I'm hearing more stories. So I'm thankful for, space like this, a safe space to share this, which is honestly part of our immigration journey. I would say for all those following me through the years, I want to thank every one of you for supporting the brand, supporting the act, even when I don't have my act together, for standing by me and for showing up. All of the sold out shows has been this community of Calgary, not just the Black community. My first show was like over 60% Canadians.
Wow.
And you'd be like, and show was going to start at 5:30. 5 p.m. they're already at the venue. The place was full. I was the one who was coming on stage late. So I've been blessed here. But it took a journey. It took me on a journey. And I just want to encourage other immigrants coming. Our journeys may not be different. The same as I mentioned, some people 3 months, they got it. 1 month they're in, they've settled. Our stories may and most likely will be different. But there's one truth, that our stories have already been written. As David said in the scriptures we were sharing in church, all the days appointed to me were written in this book. And I share this even for those who are not Christians, who do not believe in God. All the days appointed to every man has been written before one of them came to be, before we were even born. So there is order. There is order. And I encourage anyone who's not sure to find their way and dig till you get to the source, till you get to the root. And he draws you. God draws you by himself as well. But at the end of the day, our lives, even as artists, music, and as I share this, obviously, this is impacting my writing. This is a story I've always shared on stage when I perform, like my connection to God. But even now, it's opening up. It's deeper because of this journey we started with a family. Knowing God is a blessing. It's a gift. And it can settle you for life. It can take you away from that hustle mentality, from that scarcity, which a lot of us are coming from, to a place of rest, a place of abundance, a place of purpose. And I just want to encourage everyone to, even though you have questions about who God is or how to do this, just start to research, start to find, start to seek, and you will find.
Thank you so much, Perpie.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Coming,
Thank you.
sharing. Like, I know I've said this over and over, but I really, really appreciate your vulnerability and your kindness to just trust us, trust me, trust the diary with your story and with your everything you've been through, your struggles, your wins, and even with your journey with God. And I feel like you're the very first person who has actually talked about God on this show, which is amazing.
That's an honor. I hope God is pleased.
So thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I wish you the very best of luck.
Thank you so
with
much.
everything. And I hope everything goes well. I hope
kids
and everything, like, you find everything you're looking for. And I trust.
Yeah.
I can feel it in my bones. I trust that it will bear good fruit.
Absolutely.
In the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They say we do not live like those who have no hope. We have hope.
Yes,
There's
absolutely.
just knowing God is that light, that
Yes.
hope. You just know that there's
hope of our
And
salvation.
so I don't share this story from a place of defeat. I share it from a place of victory. Because,
Absolutely.
like I said, victory started from the moment God revealed it. And so following that up, we're just sowing continuous seed to keep flushing and rebuilding. So it's a place of strength we're coming from, place of victory and just dominion, knowing our place in the harvest, knowing our role as parents, knowing our role as human beings, as artists, those who say they're activists or advocates, knowing our role, what we're really here for is to sow good seeds and to raise strong generations of royalties, of kings, of priests. That's who our children are. That's who we are. So just doing that from a place of victory is very key. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you so much, Perpie. And that's the diary. Bye.
Bye.
The Diary of a Niger Immigrant was proudly brought to you through Onyi's Lens. If you like this episode, then you should check out our other episodes. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment on whose journey you would like to hear about next on The Diary of a Niger Immigrant. And until next time, I remain Onyi Ekenelbi. Bye now, friends.